Yeah. Let's back this up and talk about Silent Hills, because that's really the
yes.
the
saddest thing of all time.
Spooky, haunting elephant with no face in the room.
Whoa.
Yeah. We knew that Kojima was kind of leaving Konami, kind of, not really ever formally announced.
Yeah.
They kind of backpedaled on that. But they
It
took his
became
name off
apparent
everything.
that something was happening with Kojima at Konami after Metal Gear Solid 5.
And they were moving his name from a bunch of games.
The studio was rebranded. He's like a contractor now, maybe.
It's a very Baghdad Bob type situation.
Baghdad
Bob. Do you guys remember him?
No, please explain.
Was he like a child commercial?
No, he was the guy that when we invaded Iraq, he was like, "No one's invaded us. I don't know what you're talking about." And like in the background while he was on the news, where there's like bombs going off, and he's like, "Nah, America's not here." Like he's pretending like it never happened. That's the way Konami's been handling this entire situation.
Was this a real cultural thing?
Yeah, you guys didn't know?
Is this a lucid nightmare that I made?
Is this one of the rotations of
I'm trying to bring some goddamn culture to this show. Some war history facts.
Sorry.
With Baghdad Bob.
Okay, I know it sounds like a Disney game, but
sounds like a free-to-play iOS game.
Anyway, Konami's spent the last 2 months denying that there's any trouble over there,
right?
And there is.
Yes,
there
and
clearly
then
is.
In like a matter of hours, 36 hours or whatever, they're like, Silent Hills is canceled, but not even formally officially. But oh, by the way, we're pulling PT, the playable teaser from.
That's the thing I don't get. Like,
if you are listening to this at home right now and you are near your PlayStation 4, download PT before it disappears.
Yeah, because end of day, April 29th.
That's Wednesday?
So. Wednesday,
so
April
this show
29th.
goes up Tuesday. If you haven't downloaded it, download it the next day.
24 hours.
Because apparently that is so gross. That is so just really, really just awful.
Yeah.
It's just like there's no excuse to do that with a digital item,
Yeah.
Like I can understand taking things off store shelves because they're taking up like physical space there, and sure, there's the whole issue of like servers and stuff. But to make something evaporate entirely is just like a huge, huge disrespect.
Especially,
to
it's
the
like a thing that I kind of understand at the very least getting rid of the final stinger ending thing. Like removing that from all future downloads so that you don't have the Norman Reedus, Guillermo del Toro,
Apply an update
Kojima
so it's not
thing.
there.
Yeah, but the thing that exists that came out during Gamescom that everyone played and loved, like everyone unanimously loves that. Even
it's one of the best horror video games ever made.
Yeah,
I don't really think that's up for debate.
No, it's just this incredible thing.
Awesome.
Like game designers, like this is the most original thing we've seen in a decade.
And this is why, like, I'm always torn on like the sort of balance of digital and physical media, because I know that back in the day you could just buy a demo disc and it would be on your shelf for as long as you had it, and unless it rotted away, you could even then probably figure out a way to back it up. But this game's just going to be gone.
Yeah.
It will just disappear forever, and you will never know what it was or what it could have been.
And digital is supposed to be the solution to video game preservation.
Yeah.
And now Konami is like taking a hostile approach and saying, no, this is not important. This game doesn't matter. Your appreciation of it and our team's work doesn't matter. It is now gone forever.
I'm super curious, even like, is it tied to my account? Like if my PS4 breaks or if I get a new PS4, am I going to be able to download that?
You should be able to. I think once it's on your account, you can download that forever. Like you have the license, so you can access
that's how it was.
the
Like there were some
product.
XBLA games that have been taken off. Like a Turtles arcade game got removed.
Yeah,
but, you
but
already
as long
had
as you have it, it's yours.
There's weird stuff too. Like I remember like the demo for King Kong on the Xbox 360 just disappeared one day, and everyone was like, "Hey, where's King Kong?" It's like you'll be fine. It's
Wait, when
not
you say everyone, do you mean like 3 guys? But so in addition to that, Konami's also pulling out of they're like delisting their stocks from the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
We don't really fully know how that works. Otherwise, we probably would have
Yeah.
cooler jobs.
I mean, they said that like 99.9% of their like sort of stock interaction happens in London and Tokyo.
Okay.
But
the timing is interesting.
Is super interesting.
It does not bode well at all for that company.
Yeah, and I don't know, it just seems insane. Like, and you were saying earlier, this is a company with such a legacy.
Yeah.
Like
their logo for the longest time meant something. And if I'm correct, I think so. Back in the day, Nintendo actually limited the amount of software that a company could make. So Konami split off and started this new brand called Ultra. And Ultra was the
that's
one
right.
They put their name on Ninja Turtles and a whole bunch of other games. And
Blades
Ultra was
of Steel.
like, it was totally like, it was this great, sort of Trojan horse to get more games on the market. So they basically had two gaming brands in the 80s, which was one was Konami and one was Ultra, and they were both putting out really quality games.
That's how much they wanted you to enjoy their work.
That's right. I mean, sure, the original Ninja Turtles sucks, but we were children. We didn't know the difference.
Yeah.
And I grew up playing Konami games, like especially the Castlevania games during the, especially like a few years ago. They re-released Symphony of the Night. They put out all those Castlevania games on DS and the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
There's just always been this really good legacy of their games, even like Gradius and stuff like that. And you just can't find that quality anymore. You don't even find that output anymore. Like they are not focused on that. They are focused on pachinko machines and gambling machines in Japan because those are actually still profitable.
So here's the thing that I don't hear get brought up nearly enough is that Konami's not just a game company.
Yeah.
They have like gyms.
They make fitness equipment.
Yeah.
They make pachinko machines. They make karaoke equipment. When we were in Japan together, they had like Konami branded fitness club bottled water.
Yeah.
Like
Their name is on everything.
That's so
Yeah,
weird.
that's
Like
I mean,
our
it's-
legacy is very different than Japan's. Like here, we see stuff like Castlevania and Contra, and we go,
Sure.
"Wow, what an amazing my childhood."
like,
there,
here
it's like
they've-
just what they do. It's like Sega.
I love how they sell things that make you fat and then things that make you fit.
yeah. So
and
I mean,
they
I'm
make
not.
you gamble all your money away.
Yeah.
I don't know what their like what their stocks are like or what their the profits are like for their other stuff. But I mean, their games have definitely been having a rough time.
I
Yeah.
want to know what their 5-year strategy is. Is it like, because if this is what you need, if they just want to get up and say we are done with console gaming and just say goodbye, then I mean that's a lot easier for me than to read 4 more years of just like, hey, we're teaming up with Steven Spielberg and the guy from Mad Men. And, oh no, just kidding, we're not going to do any of that.
See,
like
here-
stop.
This is what I would think is going to happen, right? Like this is a Japanese company. We're seeing Japanese devs move more and more to mobile. That's definitely going to be a focus. We're going to see like a Silent Hill game on mobile. We're going to see a Castlevania game. Like all of these things are going to be on mobile for sure. But they are hiring right now a new Metal Gear team, which makes me think they're just going to fire the current one when that game's done. So that game will probably come to consoles. Like the market's just too big. The PlayStation 4 is a massive, massive console. It's 20-something million at this point, right? That's a lot. You can't just let that go.
Yeah.
So they want to do what Kojima never could, which is let's do Metal Gear games more often and smaller and less ambitious. So if they can do a Metal Gear game every 2 years on console, that'll sell well on PlayStation for sure.
Sure. I mean, you're losing your writer, producer, director, lead, whatever.
they-
Yeah,
He
but
was-
they
he
can,
was
they
everything,
can pay
right?
someone to do that.
Of
And
course.
I mean, they already lost the backbone of Castlevania. Igarashi
Totally.
is
Yeah.
no longer there.
Yeah, look how that went.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we've talked about on this show before how I'm actually excited for the prospect of Metal Gear's being directed by a new team. I like that idea in the same way that I'm excited for a new Star Wars film that has no involvement from George Lucas.
The problem is when you've got something like that that reaches this certain scale, the person who's kind of got their name at the top of it, they start to be like they don't have to prove anything anymore. They're just kind of doing what they want to do. And I'm kind of wondering if maybe, I mean, total speculation here, but maybe Kojima was just like making artistic demands, making these kind of this magnum opus in this amazing huge game, and they're like, hey, that's great, but we're still like trying to run a business.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing is that video games are kind of the intersection of products and artwork. Like they can take either form very readily. But he's like, if he's kind of, hey, I'm working on this new Metal Gear game. They're like, that's cool. When's it going to be ready? And when can we like start shipping it? He's like, it's almost done. Okay, can you chop off the front end of it and can we sell that? Sure, why not? Oh, by the way, I'm working on a new Silent Hill. It's got we got the Hellboy director and the guy from Walking Dead in there, and it's like, how much are they going to cost? How long is this going to take?
Yep.
I mean, there's no way that Silent Hills was not going to be a huge, massive undertaking. And then to release a game for free, playable teaser, very cool, but also free.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that mandate coming from Konami for sure, right? Like, PT had to be this thing where, okay, Kojima wants to do this, but we need to ship something that will get people's attention. That's a little bit different than them chopping off the front of Metal Gear Solid 5 and selling it. But, like, I interviewed Kojima about that, and he was very open, like, yeah, I didn't want to do this. I did not want to sell this as a separate product, but Konami said we had to, so we did it.
Wow.
So, like, that's got to be part of, like, their current market strategy on consoles or something. I don't know.
See, and that's what, like, I understand exactly what you're saying, Max, about how there's sort of the video games are this kind of interstate between ambition and deadlines, right? Of these creative people being like, I have all the ideas in the world, and business people be like, cool, give them to me in a month.
Yeah.
And finish it by then. But PT was something that really stood out to me because it was so self-contained. And I know that when we think of Silent Hills or Silent Hill, we think of like this big sprawling town that's 90% fog and a sad father walking around looking for something, right? Or a deranged woman is trying to find a murderer or whatever it is. But I like the idea of sort of it being these slices of like, you're in this house.
Yeah.
Here's this. Every time you walk through it, it's different. Things are added. You can change things in effect. Why not release that and just do it episodically? Like, why not have?
So what I love the idea is, Silent Hill becomes an anthology thing.
Yes.
Where there are 10 teams making 10 different games that all are Silent Hill games, and that this is one of them. And if the games are small, bite-sized, I mean, this thing was gorgeous, so it's not like it was cheap, but I imagine this cost $1 million, something like that. So have 10 different teams make a game for $10 million and have this happen. Like that to me would be an incredible way to take the series forward, because the series just hasn't worked in the past.
No. Not like that.
10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Well, and I like that approach a lot because it's kind of like what they did with like the movie trailers in Grindhouse. Like, I don't know if any of you guys saw it in theaters, but Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez reached out to all their favorite like writer and director friends, and they said, "Hey, make a bunch of like really schlocky, grindhousey action horror movie trailers for us, and they can all be fake, And like one of them was Don't,
Yeah.
and then one of them was Machete, which became like 3 or whatever full movies.
Yeah.
Of all the movies they could have done, it had to be that one.
I know. None of them were as good as that trailer.
Yeah.
But I think that like that's a fantastic solution. It's sort of just like take this idea of like make this bite-sized horror anthology, give it to a bunch of different people, and that's kind of what I thought we were getting here. That's why it's disappointing to see it was canceled, because this worked. PT works in such a self-contained area. It's a hallway basically that you keep walking through, and it keeps getting more and more messed up. I was gonna curse.
You can curse. I got a pen. I don't know.
So now we're not getting any of that, and it is what it is. So if you have it, download it. If you go get it, otherwise it's gone.
So
do you think Silent Hills could have ever lived up to the expectation, though?
No.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like,
that demo was a perfect thing.
Yeah.
There's no way a finished
Yeah.
game would
I
have
love
been
how
a
that was
perfect
also
thing.
that was a demo of the Fox engine.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
running the Fox engine, and Kojima's like, yeah, we had to actually like dumb it down a little bit so you couldn't figure out what engine it was.
Yeah.
Like we
had to make it look worse so you
nerfed
didn't
the
know it was
engine.
you. Yeah.
Like, that's impressive.
I mean, so I'm 99.9% sure that this is just all of this is because Konami is sort of stumbling at the top.
I thought you were about to say that it's a Kojima ruse.
So that is what the 1% is, which I told Max and Brian earlier, is all of this from Kojima leaving to the head transplant doctor to
What is that
PT
about, by the way?
being D-list. Yeah, have you heard about this?
Yes, it's insane.
So no, it's not insane. It's dumb. It's just dumb.
Things can be both.
So all of this, I don't think all of this, but my theory is that all of this is a very clever ruse on the part of Mr. Hideo Kojima.
You're one of those guys?
Yeah. I'm a
Konami is like,
I'm a
you know what?
Kojima truther.
Konami's like, this is worth the risk. This is
We'll
worth
delist ourselves to the New York Stock Exchange. I'm sure our investors won't get upset.
Just for some context here, the head transplant
I
guy.
like that you have to explain
This dude did a TED talk, and he's this guy.
It's a head talk.
He's a damn it. He's like, what is he? Was he Austrian or something? He's some nationality.
Spooky
He's
European.
from somewhere on Earth. But
He's an Earthman.
He's this white bald guy with glasses who's a doctor who is talking about how he wants to transplant human heads. And somebody pointed out that this doctor looks a lot like the doctor in the Phantom Pain.
They're not wrong.
He looks exactly like him.
It's totally that guy.
All right, so he looks like him.
Okay.
And this is a TED talk that showed up like a year and a half after that trailer was first revealed.
Yep.
And then the guy, I guess, got interviewed by Kotaku or something, and he's like, "I will sue Kojima if this is actually based on me." And I mean, you've got a dude with his head in bandages. You've got some various arms and legs being removed or whatever, and it could kind of. I mean, head transplants would not be the most ridiculous thing to be discussed.
Yeah, there were arm
in the
transplants.
NeoGAF post about this, they were like, Kojima has said in interviews that he wants to really approach some issues that society doesn't approve of. And they're like, yeah, like head transplants. That's not an issue that society disapproves of. That's an issue that society doesn't really consider because it's sort of stupid and out there. I think he's referring more to child soldiers, you know, like
we're not moving mountains with the work we do with our lives. But I wish I had the kind of free time it would take to be insane enough to believe that. Man, that is special. Do you know that in the 80s, McDonald's had a character named the Grimace?
Yeah.
One day he disappeared. And Kojima has been known to eat cheeseburgers occasionally. I have a really funny Kojima anecdote. I don't think I've told this on any show. I was at Tokyo Game Show last year, and Kojima was staying at our hotel.
Yeah, he gets breakfast buffet there every day.
And he was getting breakfast every morning with a different female.
How do you know it wasn't just the same lady who had her head replaced by a scientist?
All right.
Yeah.
There it is.
I don't know. I hope that Metal Gear comes out okay. Like, it would be really, at this point, it's been such a weird, like, sordid history. Yeah. If it shipped and it was just like, they just like canceled it like 2 weeks before. They're like, nope, now but no one has it. We are pulling this car over and turning it around.
Yeah. And if you have Marty and Gaff would both be like, it's all part of the plan.
It's all part of the plan. If you have a physical copy of Ground Zeroes, they're going to come to your house and ask you for it back.
And we're just like, it's digital. And they're
well,
like,
can we see your hard drive
like, what does that mean?
Norman Reedus must be like, well, I'm never working on a video game again. Those things are dumb.
So my last two were Walking Dead Survival Instinct and this. All right,
this, yeah.
I'm out.
So I don't watch Walking Dead, but I did definitely watch the trailer for the Walking Dead game that he was in, which was one of my favorite things ever because it was just him and Michael Rooker just in a meeting, basically. Yep. They were just on like little chairs and they were like, Merle and Durrell in a game. What could be better? And then it was like, no, Survival Instinct. And I'm like, you didn't even show me a picture of the game. You showed me two dudes.
But also, it was like a prequel to the show, so you're playing two dudes who were super racist. Like, at least in the show, they become less racist afterwards, but you're playing like a prequel to racist dudes, so you're just still very violently racist.
Michael Rooker's like, I still got both my hands, and I'm going to use them to hold up middle fingers to minorities in my new game. Like, what's wrong with you?
What could be better?
Yeah. So that's 2 for 2 for Mr. Norman Reedus in his video games. I think his face is on the side of the Walking Dead pinball machine that we have in our lobby.
No, it's not.
No, not even that. That's right.
We've got a Walking Dead pinball machine. Somebody pointed out that I think all like the art of like characters and stuff is easily removable. Like it's all stuff you can swap out
in case they get sued
in later seasons if those people die.
Oh, okay.
Oh, jeez.
Also, how did we make it through the 2000s without a Boondock Saints game?
Yeah, right.
How are we that fortunate?
I don't know. It's a weird.
I feel like there probably is one on like Android or something.
Oh, you're probably right.
So all your favorite Konami games are dead. I think Metal Gear's still happening. Keep it locked.